Friends, I'm so excited. For the past 2 years maybe, every first Wednesday that I start filming videos for Top 5 Wednesday, we do the best of that year. So today we are doing the best of Yen Press 2025 debuts. Hello friends, happy Wednesday. So very excited that you're here. Very excited to be kicking off this video. But let me tell you a little mini quick backstory. I asked Patreon channel members which one would they be more excited for because I honestly didn't have enough to do a top 5 for every publisher. I was very bummed by that. But I was like, hey, since I was in limbo, didn't tell my Patreon channel members, but I gave them a poll. I said, do you want a top 5 best debuts of every publisher, top 5 by genre, or top 5 heroines, couples, or heroes? And it was a tie. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be, well, today and the next week, we're going to talk about 2 different publishers of what I felt was the top 5 best debuts that they had. Now, that's not that I just read it, had to have released in 2025. And today, as I said, we're starting off with Yen Press, though y'all know, I love my manhwa so very much, so I had to give Eyes Press some love. I'm not going to go in depth about it, but I will say I do feel the best debut for manhwa from them was Marriage of Convenience. I absolutely love this series. It's easily in my top 12 of favorite things I read in 2025. Stay tuned for my bracket that we'll be putting together on Friday. Whew, I am nervous because the manhwa one, it is hard. It is hard. But I will say this series is on there. It was everything I was hoping it would be. I have absolutely loved it. And then when it came to novels, look, I didn't read much, but I do feel it was a massive win for Eyes Press, and As Villains Are Destined to Die. There's something so special about reading your favorite series in the original form. It's incredible because after reading the manhwa, I was like, wow, this is an incredibly faithful, or the manhwa is an incredibly faithful adaptation of the novel. And I do have a review of the novel if you're curious. I went in depth, did all the rambles, compared the two. I really, really loved it, and I'm excited that volume 2, my pre-order, has finally shipped. I am ready to dive in and read it. But let's talk about my top 5. These aren't really in any order, but I do sort of feel the order they're in is probably how I would rate them, of like going from number 1 to number 5, but they're still in my top 5. Wait, I have a top 6 because I could not narrow it down to 5. And I was like, well, which could be an honorable mention? Couldn't decide. So we're doing a top 6 Wednesday today. But the first one is D.N.Angel, the New Edition. This was everything. Oh my goodness, I'm so bummed that I wasn't able to do an actual first impression video review. Now, I did do a buddy review with my friend Charles on Beneath the Tangles. It's a website I blog for. We both absolutely loved it. If you're not familiar with this series, it is about our precious Daisuke, very precious little being. Oh, he's adorable, but anyway, sorry. It is about him, and the thing is, he is in, oh goodness, is he like an, what would be like an 8th grader, or I think a freshman, but I know he's pretty young, not elementary school young, but he's either at the end of middle school or going into high school, and the thing is, he has a crush on this girl. He's really liked her. He finally confesses his feelings to her, and she turns him down, rejects him, and when he goes home that day, he discovers he has this power or this ability where he turns into this character named Dark, and he is a phantom thief and goes and steals things. But sort of the, sorry, I'm trying to find him. Here he is. This is Dark, and our precious boy here, he turns into him. I'm not going to go in depth about that, but the thing is the only time Dark comes out is when Daisuke, when he thinks about the girl he has a crush on, and that's when his love meter, I think is what they call it, goes up, and he eventually turns into Dark, and he doesn't want to turn into Dark. He just wants to be an ordinary guy living his life, liking this girl and hoping that she returns his feelings. But we have a love square that eventually unfolds. We have some supernatural magical abilities, and I absolutely love it. I'm so very thankful, friends, that you influenced me to pick this up because it is in my top 12 favorite things of last year. It felt so remarkable and special that Yen Press gave us a brand new edition of this. I've never seen the anime, had never read the manga before, so I was totally going in blind, and it was absolutely magical. I felt I was on the edge of my seat. Even there were some things like the love square that I'm like, oh, I'm not usually a fan of this, but I'm like, I'm here for it. I loved all of the characters so much, and there was such a wonderful vibe to the volume, I guess. I don't think it's quite the right word, but it just felt magical to me. It felt like a very special reading experience, and I easily felt this is one of the best releases of last year, but specifically from Yen Press. This was such an overwhelming win, I feel like, for the shoujo community, and I truly hope it's doing very well. I know there's a lot of excitement. It's very shimmery, as you can see. We had multiple colored pages. We had a fold-out mini poster in the beginning. It was truly loved just in this volume and how Yen Press gave it to us. I would highly, highly recommend it. If you want to see more in-depth thoughts, be sure to check out that blog post. I'll leave it linked down below because this series is one that I'm eagerly anticipating to read more of this coming year. For number 2, oh my goodness, I had to say Suzuki-kun's Mindful Life. I mentioned, I think on social media, that volume 2 is my last read of 2025, and it was the perfect way to close out the year. I loved it so very much. I do have a first impression of volume 1, and it's interesting because I probably wouldn't have said volume 1 was for sure in my top 5. I probably would have had it as an honorable mention, but when I read volume 2, it completely bumped it up. I'm easily looking forward to volume 3, hopefully going up for pre-order soon because I need the 3rd volume. I think we do have a cover reveal of it, but there's just no, I think when I looked, I couldn't find an actual pre-order link. Probably need to check again because I'm like, how could we see the 3rd cover if we haven't even gotten a pre-order link? Anyway, if you're not familiar with this series, it is about our main lead here. His name is Suzuki, or I think it's his last name, but he comes across as one way. He looks like this big, imposing young man when that couldn't be further from the truth of how he actually is. He is such a softie. He loves baking goods. He loves flowers. He loves cooking and really loves, I guess what most people would say, not traditional male things. He's probably not going to really be into football and stuff like that. He's really into like home economics kind of things, and that's what makes Suzuki so incredibly special. And then you meet who's going to be his best friend, and he looks like this cute, adorable young man, but he is such a manly man. He loves doing a variety of sports. He works out all the time. He does, I think it's like jujitsu or something, or some other kind of martial arts, and he is very much opposite of Suzuki. And you would think, based off of looking at these young men, that they would be a certain way, and it's like, no, they're completely different from how they look. I think this is a wonderful series. It has really, I would say it really has captured a similar love that I have for Play It Cool Guys. They're different series, but what I like about them is that you have these characters, these male characters specifically, who come across one way, but ultimately act a different way. I really, really like that. It's such a fun kind of trope to work with, and I especially love when you have like these male characters who look scary, have these scary faces, and they just have hearts of gold. They just have hearts of gold. Also, this is a good one too if you're not really looking for romance. I mean, Suzuki here does have a crush, but it's not the focus, and it's really, especially when we go into the 2nd volume, it's him experiencing this high school life that he's always dreamed of, where people accept him for who he is, that he can be his real self and not be apologetic, that he likes baking cookies, likes doing flowers, like that he doesn't have to apologize, that he can freely embrace these things and openly embrace these things. Not only that, being able to, you know, show that and just be himself, but finding other people who like these same hobbies that he does. It is beautiful. I got very emotional in the 2nd volume. I talked about that recently in my reading wrap up because I'm just like, Suzuki, please have the best high school experience, buddy. You deserve it and more. So very much a wholesome slice of life, very sweet kind of read that I would highly recommend. For number 3, I wouldn't be surprised if this is on several people's, like if they did a list of Yen Press debuts, and don't worry, we'll have a like game at the end where it's like gonna be like a checklist and you can say and share what your top 5 favorite Yen Press debuts are, but I'm gonna be saying Mechanical Marie. Oh my goodness, y'all, we need volume 2. We got the anime, and I was really hoping that Yen Press would like significantly speed up these releases because man, this was one of the funniest rom-coms that I read last year. Really, really enjoyed it. It's about a young woman. Her name is Marie. She's not a robot, but she comes across this one due to her job. Like she actually has to act like a robot for this job, but the thing is, she's very strong, she does martial arts, and she doesn't reflect a lot of expressions on her face. So people have assumed like, okay, do you not feel anything? Which comes perfectly in handy for this job because Arthur here is like, I can't think of what he's inheriting some kind of very wealthy organization. I keep wanting to say CEO, but that's not the word I'm looking for, but some very wealthy company, okay? He is next in line to get it, and so he has a lot of hitmen after him. He has a lot of different assassination attempts, and so he needs somebody to help guard him, but the biggest problem is he despises humans. He does not like how other people act. He feels they're very two-faced. He feels they'll try and be friends with him only to literally try and stab him in the back. So that's where Maria comes in, where she gets hired to act as if she is a robot. It's so funny because Maria doesn't really have a lot of expressions. There's a few times, at least two that I could think of vividly, where we see, okay, she's definitely not a robot, but Arthur here more than makes up because he comes across really cold, really harsh, really angry, but when he's with Marie, he has the most sweetest of expressions that are absolutely adorable. Like, here's a really good example of him blushing, and he has other really great moments where, like, he tries to give her a battery, and he has the most kindest intentions behind it, and we're just, as the reader, we know, like, she's not actually a robot. And I think there was, man, I wish I had the panel because I shared it with friends. Like, if you needed to know what Mechanical Marie was in a nutshell, this panel was absolutely perfect because it was basically Arthur saying, what does he need to do to try and figure out how to marry a robot? And so there's so many fun shenanigans, really great art. Again, very much looking forward to volume 2. Wish it wasn't coming out in February because, man, we got this volume, I feel like mid-year because it's been several months, and I hope that the next volume after volume 2 will release much sooner because I want to see what happens. I think this is, well, I know it is a completed series, but I think it's only like 7 volumes. It's not that long, and I know that there is a sequel that is currently serializing in the Lala magazine. Fingers crossed that we'll hopefully get it because I love it, and if you just need a romantic comedy, this is one that I really think you should try out. If you don't want to try out the manga yet, then definitely try out the anime, at least like the first episode, because it definitely shows what you're getting into when it comes to this story. For number 4, another romantic comedy that I'm so excited that I had 2 friends influence me to pick this up, to give it a try, and that's Double the Trouble, Twice as Nice. This is an age gap manga that has so many fun shenanigans with really great art. It is about our female lead, Yuri here, who at the beginning she's engaged, but then she gets dumped. And I forget how long she's been dating this guy, but you know, trying to work on herself, trying to reconnect with him because they both have these really busy jobs. I think she's like 28, I think it is. So she's pretty devastated that he dumps her because she was even hoping to marry this guy. Well, she's coming back home. She comes across this little kid here just passed out in the middle of the street. Her phone is dead. She takes him home because she's like, okay, I'll call the cops tomorrow, get him back with his parents, only for him to wake up as this 18-year-old young man. And she's like, oh my goodness, what is happening? And he tells her, hey, I'm the same person. He's like, as long as I have this necklace on, then I stay an adult young man. But she's like, no, you need to get out. But the thing is he's very convincing of like, hey, you need somebody to cook for you. You have somebody to watch your house and clean your house while you're at work. And she gets roped into agreeing. Thing is she slowly starts having feelings for him, and he starts slowly having feelings for her. I recently read volume 2, talked about that also in my reading wrap up. Really loving this series and the direction that it's going. It's just, Ren is such a great character because he really knows how to work his charm to get Yuri to say yes to things. And I just want to put out here, I do have a first impression as well. Nothing ever inappropriate happened. She has no romantic feelings for her when he is a child. Just to put that out there, there's nothing weird happening because I have seen people say like, oh, that's really icky. And I promise nothing outside of the normal age gap here between him being 18, her being 28. There's nothing happening when he's in kid form. And the art too is really great. But yeah, what I was saying is I love how he is just able to work these shenanigans and really brings life to Yuri's overall life. I really especially love that in volume 2 of seeing Yuri speak up for herself and taking these actions to show like she does have value and importance, and she feels that for herself, not just because Ren thinks that she is amazing. I'm very excited for volume 3. I'm like, oh my gosh, I read these volumes too fast. In fact, I've read this volume twice, and I know I keep showing all these like cute little kid moments, but they're so much fun, and they go on an outing together, and that was really great. And I do feel that Ren, he has this one moment where he does what like I was cheering. I'm like, thank you. You're doing what us readers want you to do, assuming that you don't like the ex-fiance. Because if you like the ex-fiance, then you might not feel the same way. But Yuri's a really great heroine. I think one of the strongest things after reading volume 2 when it comes to this series is the character growth. I really enjoyed seeing that in both of them, and I easily know this is gonna be a series that I'm continue to love and enjoy, at least I'm hoping so, and here for that character growth because it was such a special part of the series that I thought I would just get these fun, feel-good shenanigans and have some great laughs. Unexpectedly got something so much more, so I cannot wait to keep reading this series. I was gonna say last but not least, but no, I forgot we're doing 6. So for number 5, I think this is another manga that's gonna be on a lot of people's lists for what they feel is the one of the best debut from Yen Press, and that is The Failure at God School. I just realized I grabbed volume 2, not volume 1, but anyway. Yeah, I also have a first impression on this. I think I might have it with Double the Trouble, so I do apologize if I couldn't link that in the corner just now, but man, this series really surprised me because I was a little bit afraid of the hype. A lot of people were like, if you like Apothecary Diaries because they're the same creator, that you'll like this one. I'm like, well, Apothecary Diaries is not quite for me. It's not in my favorite series, so that wasn't a personal selling point. But I will say, if you want, supposedly there will be romance much later down the road because there's like, what, 10, 11 volumes? We're massively behind in English, but then it does have a romance much later. But I would say very much in the beginning that I guess I should tell you what it's about first. I guess I should tell you what it's about first before I go into my own thoughts here. But it's about Nagi, and she is a young woman. Her family did run a shrine, and when her grandmother passed away, something happened. I can't quite remember what it was, but Nagi ends up finding herself where she helps this young boy, and then shortly after, she gets an invitation to go to this god academy where these gods, basically people have some kind of powers, not necessarily superpowers, but they do have these different abilities. And here's the thing though, Nagi's been invited to go to this academy. She supposedly doesn't have any magical ability at all, but she ends up going because she has such a heart for her family. Her brother, who we've only seen represented as this little phone charm, I guess you would say. I don't know if it's actually a phone charm, but here it does. I think it's a much bigger plushie, but he refuses to leave his room due to certain reasons, and she's like, well, if nobody's going to take over this temple, this shrine, I'm going to do what I can. And so she feels to make that happen that she needs to go to this god school, not academy, but this god school. And what made this such a wonderful first volume, like I remember reading volume 1 in my car, about to start crying, getting very emotional because Nagi, there's so many times people point out, if they're not saying, why are you here? They're making it known through their words, whether on purpose or by accident, that you shouldn't be here, Nagi. You don't have any of these powers. Why are you here? But she always picks herself up and encourages herself to not give up hope, and really comes with that full shining, I was say armor, but full shining aura here that comes from shoujo manga that I personally love, of where these heroines, they feel discouraged, but yet they pick themselves up and they continue to be super sweet to other people, do what they can, go out of their way to go above and beyond, and just never give up. That is one thing I deeply love about shoujo manga. When we have heroines like that, it just resonates with me, and I find it very inspiring and very encouraging. Nagi is easily one of those heroines. So you're following her on this journey in this story of being at this god school, supposedly not having any powers, but there's some mystery in there because as the series goes on, we see that these people are like, I think Nagi might actually have some kind of ability, but we don't know what it is as the readers just yet. So we're following her to see how she's navigating at this school and what's going to come about with her having or not having these powers. I think this is a really great read if you don't mind something that's maybe slower paced. Like I really enjoyed volume 1. I can't remember if I mentioned if it felt slow, but just because I mentioned that doesn't mean that I felt it was a bad thing. It was sort of like a casual walk through the park, so to speak. You're not chilling like you would say like reading a slice of life, but you're taking in everything, you're taking in these details, and you're appreciating how it's just going to keep getting bigger and better as you go along, say like this walk. At least that's how my brain personally took it. I felt that volume 2 was very much inspiring. There's a conversation where somebody tells Nagi that you're like a seed in the ground and you get to decide, do you sprout or do you just stay here in the ground? And so I feel like there's these these small little nuggets of truth or of encouragement that really uplifted my heart. And plus, I find the characters fun. We have a lot of students that we meet in the first volume, but in the second volume, we really get to know everybody and see how they interact with one another. And honestly, if how Nagi handled one situation, again, she doesn't have any powers here that are at least being displayed, of how she was like, okay, if this person doesn't want to do X thing, then let's not pressure them. Let's find another way. Especially when this character was tearing her down, I felt like, either in volume 1 or in volume 2, and I'm like, my friend Danielle warned me. She said, don't hate him. So I held on to that because he did have some growth by the end, and I said, okay, I don't hate your guts, but you're still in the doghouse, buddy. So yeah, so this is a really, I don't know if unique shoujo is quite the right word, but I do feel like it has a lot of world building, and I do feel that is unique for the shoujo manga that I have been picking up. We typically, or at least again that I'm picking up, typically don't see a lot of that. So I did find that refreshing as well. And again, everything I just said about Nagi being this really inspiring heroine, it is easily one reason I would check it out if that's something that you enjoy seeing in the manga that you read and want to see another shoujo protagonist live out those vibes and that truth. And last but not least, for number 6, I'm saying Victoria of Many Faces, the manga. I really wrestled because I was like, you know, maybe I could remove one from the other stack, but I'm like, no, I want this one to be mentioned because found family is such a wonderful thing. I think we did have a video, a Top 5 Wednesday video about found family, and I'm pretty sure I featured this on there. It is about a young woman. Her name that she goes by is Victoria. She was a spy in another country. Now she's trying to live a new and different life, and she left that, you know, life behind her, and things are going well. And then she goes into town for something, and she sees this young girl that's just sitting on the bench all by herself. I think she asks her some questions of like where your parents are, and she's like, I don't know. And Victoria's like, I think this child has been abandoned. So she decides to take the child with her, not really having the intention that this child would ultimately stay with her, but that is what ends up happening. And so it's a very wonderful story, definitely found family, because seeing these two together sort of either as like sisters or a little bit of mother and daughter. I feel like it's more of sisterly. I don't know, volume 2 I felt was a little bit more mother-daughter role, but in this one I felt like it was two sisters. Is very special, very wholesome. Really love how Victoria is just teaching her so many different things, not just with education, but how to defend yourself, how to say like cook, and how to do these other things that make it a little bit of a slice of life kind of vibe. And there is like a little bit of inkling of romance because I definitely am shipping her with this young man right here. He's the captain, and I really liked him. I forget I was gonna go with that because I saw his face. But I think one thing I really liked as well is not just the found family vibes, but Victoria, she has these action moments that were really awesome. I'm like, okay, it gives me a little bit of Spy Family vibes, though definitely different because we don't have Anya, you know, reading minds and whatnot. But Victoria is a very compelling heroine that she's able to do these spy things. I mean, I don't know if it's in this volume or the second one, but like when she kept something in the bottom of her boot and was able to take off the heel, and there it was, and she was able to help somebody. I'm like, oh my goodness, girl, like it was really cool. And then when she beats somebody up in volume 2, I'm like, she's so cool. She's so cool. I really was surprised by that action layer that was part of this story because it's not just full slice of life. No, it's not just that. There's some mystery in there, a little bit of suspense, because obviously the people of the other country are not just going to let Victoria go free and be like, oh, we're not going to look for. No, so you do have that sort of hanging over Victoria's head of like, are they going to find her? Is she going to need to leave? Will she need to leave this young girl behind that she has really adopted to be her own sister or own daughter? Then it gets even more complicated when things get involved with the captain, and I'm shipping the romance, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, if he finds out things about Victoria, like there's these layers, multiple layers that really heighten, I feel, the enjoyment of this series. I had such a great time, and I'm very excited that we're getting an anime of it. I think we talked about it in a previous manga news video last year. I really look forward to it, and I think that was actually on my list of manga that I hope got adapted because I truly think that Spy Family fans would probably really enjoy this, even if it's, again, different, but has similarities there that I would say, hey, give it a try, especially for found family lovers, because because it has that very much full. And that, my friends, are my top 6 debuts from Yen Press. And of course, the manhwa and the light novel that I had to just insert that in there as well. And again, if you would like to share what you feel your top 5 picks are for best Yen Press debuts, here's the graphic that I made. I'll leave a link down below if you'd like to download it and share it anywhere. Please let me know what your picks were. Did we have any in common? Doesn't have to be shoujo. I almost featured a seinen series that was really good that I read last year, but I was like, oh, we'll just stick with the shoujo and the manhwa. But yeah, let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!